ビッグアクションビル楽しんでくださいね。
Alright, if you don't want to hear spoilers... Well, now that they're gone, let's begin. Before getting into the film as a whole, a quick thought about the outcome of Godzilla and Kong's final battle. Alright, I just wanted to get that out of the way. I'm just joking, King Kong fans. Godzilla may have won the fight, which of course I'm happy about. You know, I've been waiting for revenge longer than I've been waiting for the Jets to win a Super Bowl. But it's no question Kong is essentially the movie, and monster protagonist, a fun one I might add, and gave Godzilla a hell of a fight. He also landed the finishing blow on Mechagodzilla. Also, King Kong fans can still throw in Godzilla fans' faces that it's Kong's movie Skull Island that received the biggest box office numbers in the quote-unquote MonsterVerse movies. It'll be interesting to see where Godzilla vs. Kong lands box office-wise, considering the world isn't fully back to normal from the pandemic, which is sad considering this movie seemed tailor-made for IMAX. Unfortunately, I was just watching on my television using HBO Max, and I don't even own a soundbar, so I definitely didn't experience this movie to its full potential. That being said, I'll say it right now, in terms of the fight scenes, and only the fight scenes, I thought this was by far the best American-made Godzilla film. You could actually see everything, unlike the 2014 movie. There weren't excessive, annoying cutaways like in King of the Monsters. And again, I'm going to put a disclaimer here. These are just my initial thoughts. I've only watched the movie once, so my opinion may change once I rewatch it down the line and start to notice things I missed. But right now, I have a positive impression of the monster scenes, and I enjoyed that. And good for Adam Wingard. I tweaked him a little in my GMK video because of his involvement in Netflix's Death Note. But as some of you pointed out, some more nicely than others, he's directed other films that were much better than that. I think here he showed his love for the original 1962 movie and his respect for the Godzilla lore. Some might say that's why Godzilla won the final battle, because Wingard is a Godzilla fan. But it's sort of a silly argument. Godzilla clearly has an advantage over Kong in terms of abilities. Once again, they had to make Kong bigger to fight Godzilla, and they gave him that weapon to even the odds. So I think Godzilla winning wasn't shocking from that standpoint. The question of whether Godzilla is a more popular character than King Kong nowadays is an interesting one. And I'm not sure. I don't know how to measure that. Obviously, Godzilla has had so many damn movies. We do know that in 1962, King Kong was way more popular. But now, that's not so obvious. So again, maybe it had nothing to do with the monster's abilities and just popularity. Or because a lot of people interpret King Kong as the winner of the 1962 movie, they felt they needed to give Godzilla the W this time. I'd say a common complaint people have had about these American-made Godzilla films is how little the monster appears in them. Finding that golden ratio of monster action is tricky, it seems. But luckily for this film, when Godzilla isn't on screen, we have Kong, who is entertaining. Godzilla fans may want to see their monster, but there is something to appreciate about seeing so much of the monster that partially inspired Godzilla's creation. We get the best of both worlds, with Kong's story moving things forward, and every now and then Godzilla pops up and steals the show. You know, I think one of my biggest complaints, and something I saw as a missed opportunity in Godzilla King of the Monsters, was that they decided to open the film focusing on the new character's backstory. I thought that movie should have opened with Godzilla fighting another monster right from the get-go. In daytime, I might add. I thought that would have really set the stage that he is the king of the monsters, and then we could have Ghidorah show up and challenge that status. Now, as far as the story goes for Godzilla vs. Kong, I'll say this. It's an improvement from King of the Monsters, though that isn't saying much. But when it comes to Godzilla movies, I'm one of those people who doesn't care too much about the story or characters. I'm just watching for the fights. Everything else is just gravy. Poorly tasting gravy, usually. But it would be great if an American-made Godzilla movie had a well-written story with interesting characters. They obviously make the movie as a whole even better when that happens. Sad to say, I think we're still waiting for that. So yeah, I don't think this movie's writing is particularly good. The characters are all whatever, except for Jaya, whose relationship with Kong is the only human-related part of the movie worth paying attention to. 2014's Godzilla had an interesting character played by Bryan Cranston, and then they killed him off way too early. That's probably the closest we've come to an interesting main character in these American movies. So far, this movie isn't getting killed by mainstream reviewers too much. It still has a fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes as I make this, for whatever that's worth. But even if it does end up getting ripped to shreds, I can't really get mad. King of the Monsters got shredded by reviewers, and rightfully so. As a Godzilla fan, I can't really get pissed when movie reviewers who aren't Godzilla fans don't give these type of movies good reviews. I may love this movie or that movie, but that's because I can ignore the terrible dialogue and two-dimensional characters. Film reviewers aren't going to do that. They're going to look at dialogue, the story, the human characters, and whether these parts of the film make coherent sense. So this may get me a lot of hate amongst Godzilla fans, but I don't think there would be a lot of Godzilla films I would feel comfortable defending against a reviewer who was poking holes in them. Because like I said, they aren't going to care if a monster fight scene was awesome when at the same time the characters are poorly written. You can't just defend the movie by saying, well, it's a Godzilla movie, nobody cares about the humans, and still expect the reviewer to actually give it a good review. Obviously, it is possible to make a well-written tokusatsu or giant monster movie. You know, they do exist, and they have for a long time. I tend to agree with the folks who argue that there is a subjective and objective way to look at media. So for now, all I can say is I subjectively enjoyed the movie. Like I said, the fight scenes are the best we've seen. Objectively speaking, I'd need time to rewatch the film a bunch and see if the elements of the movie hold up against scrutiny. Like I've already said, I didn't think the story or characters were great in my initial viewing, so that's probably not a good sign. Though, like I said, the little girl with Kong, Jaya, I thought that was well done, and it was a good way to give Kong an emotional attachment to humanity rather than the usual Kong kidnapping a beautiful woman trope. The one part that really didn't make sense to me is how they didn't know that Kong could do sign language when they had cameras all over this little area they set up monitoring Kong, so that was a little weird that they were shocked he could do that. As far as Godzilla going on all fours and resembling an alligator as he basically scratches the shit out of Kong, I loved it. We've never seen Godzilla like that, really. 98 had him low to the ground, but this movie, my god. Godzilla just goes nuts, biting Kong and swinging him around by the arm, a little revenge for the tail swing from 1962, and then proceeds to tear into the giant ape. You know, I like that Kong kept trying to open Godzilla's mouth, and Godzilla kept teaching him a lesson, like, yeah, I'm not a T-Rex, I'll burn your fucking hands, pal. The aircraft carrier fight, that was mostly seen in trailers, unfortunately, but it was still great. The military helping Kong while Godzilla stalks him like Jaws was fun to watch. The character who's supposed to be Ishiro Serizawa's son, I'm not really sure. I feel like they could have done something way more interesting with him. You know, I like the idea of the Mechagodzilla going berserk. You know, that's harken back to 2002's Godzilla against Mechagodzilla with Godzilla's bones, you know, and soul or DNA or whatever taking over the Mechagodzilla built around it. You know, that was fun, but I thought they could have done more with the Serizawa character. But again, maybe there's just not enough time in these movies to do everything I want, so I can't really complain too much. Mechagodzilla was done brilliantly, and it delivers some brutal shots to Godzilla. I like that Wingard made sure to throw in the beam battle, reminiscent of the original clash between Godzilla and Mechagodzilla. When Godzilla and Kong started to team up, I'm sure it would have been one of those moments in the theater where people started clapping. And no, I don't clap in theaters, but it seemed like one of those moments. It obviously wouldn't have been the first time Godzilla teamed up with a king to fight Mechagodzilla either. As far as the music goes, when it comes to the original music produced for Godzilla and Kong, I like that. The other choices were a little weird, I thought. And this isn't a big deal, but I would have liked if Akube's Godzilla theme thrown in there. Maybe I missed it, but I don't think it was in there. In my head, I imagine that final battle with Godzilla's theme playing, with maybe a mix of King Kong's theme whenever Kong was winning the fight. Sort of like two fighting forces with the music conveying that. I thought that would have been cool, but oh well. I found the movie to be a little confusing in terms of what the hell was going on. You know, why are the characters doing what they're doing? But I don't know, that part where the Apex lady turns on them seemed really badly executed. It reminded me of Jurassic World 2. It was just pretty bad. I know these types of movies tend to throw in a shit ton of Easter eggs. I spotted a few obvious ones, but I'm sure there will be thousands of videos made pointing to them all. The infamous tree scene being reenacted was a nice touch, as well as the balloon transport. Another issue I had was there seemed to be very little mention of other Titans. They had that cool intro graphic with the brackets. I'm not sure if that means all the other Titans have been killed by Godzilla or Kong. You know, this is an issue I've had with the MonsterVerse in general. It seems like the entire universe they are operating in has all these cool and interesting monsters, but we never get to see any of them. They all get fleshed out in third-party material. There are entire YouTube channels dedicated to fleshing these characters out because the people making the movies sure as hell didn't. I just don't care for that stuff. I'd rather the actual films themselves flesh out the universe, not comic books or online databases. I'm not going to lay that all at the feet of this movie. Obviously, I think this has been a problem with kind of all of them. But, some people are probably happy with the supplemental material filling that stuff in. I just happen to be a person who would rather the film, the big event itself filling that stuff in. But again, I enjoyed the fight scenes, and I'm happy Godzilla won the big showdown with Kong. I don't know if there will be more MonsterVerse films. I'd definitely watch if there was. We'll see what happens with the box office numbers. But I remember hearing Toho a while ago talking about rebooting their own monster universe. And so maybe we'll get some Mothra or Rodan movies from Toho, and of course Godzilla as well. Either way, it's all fun stuff, and I'm happy. We all finally got to see this movie after the delays. So I'll talk to you all in my next video. Thank you.